My name is Randy Nelson. I'd like to spend a few moments with you this morning just going over the approach to the visual ensemble caption. There are two boxes. The top box is the composition box. Basically, everything in the composition box is centered around and is everything derives from the principles of design. Those design principles are pretty universally accepted in the art world. Those design principles include line, shape, form, space, texture, value, and color. Pretty much everything you will see as an adjudicator or as a designer or as a band director working on things is centered from those design principles. There are several bullet points within the composition caption. First one is the quality of all design elements in form, body, and equipment. And basically all that means is whatever the choices that have been made through time by the designer to present a varied design approach that is equally balanced between form, body, and equipment. It's not a singular focus, it's a broad-based focus. I think it's important to understand that the ensemble caption is a broad-based caption. We look at the totality of everything. Whereas downstairs in the IA captions, they're centered on individuals, making sure that those individuals are trained and can do what they should do. But in the ensemble caption, it is a comprehensive approach to the visual choices. So the quality of the design choices, that's going to come through in a couple of ways for the evaluators. That's going to come through basically with the production value of what they're looking at, how everything's put together, but also from the standpoint of how it's put together from a training standpoint, and the performers have good compatibility to make that happen. All right. We also look at depth and breadth of the design and orchestration. I think that's really can be simplified a little bit to just variety and a consistent offering through time. Do we offer a variety of staging choices? Are there a variety of body responsibilities in relation to the musical structure? How does all that fit together through time? And do we ever find ourselves feeling a sense of sameness? If we find a sense of sameness, then the depth and the breadth of the design may not be all it could be. So be aware as you're designing that the variety plays into that in a strong manner. Staging choices for the winds, the percussion, the guard, the auxiliaries, all of those choices are going to impact the visual analysis caption. And how that all works is important through time, because if the staging of the clarinet feature is in the end zone rather than in focus, then that creates a little bit of an artistic challenge for everyone. So, staging of the voices is a priority. How you allow the percussion to be in the pocket or in focus, all of those elements, how you arrange them on the stage becomes very, very important. And adjudicators enjoy quality design choices that's easy to follow, and you see those design choices come to life. So just be careful with where you place everything, and understand that when the adjudication team is talking about staging choices, there can be a variety of ways they can approach that and why they're talking about it. It could be because it's great. It could be because that it's a challenge to the musical score. Like I used the clarinet reference earlier, but if there's a musical focus that's staged poorly, then it can have an impact on what that looks and feels like. The audio enhancement and reflection is basically just another approach to the word musicality. And I think that sometimes we talk about musicality from the standpoint of, do you see what you hear, or do you hear what you see? And if there's not music, are you able to find musicality through the visual choices, through what the designers put for you without even having a soundtrack? But basically, you just want to make sure that we hear what we're seeing and that we see what we hear. That's a big thing for the composition through time. Details and nuance will always be important. You take any quality design choice anywhere. If the paint's chipping on the building, probably not going to have the same positive impact on someone than if the paint is not chipping. So I think those are just quality things. Quality control that will always be in play at all times in the visual ensemble caption. I always refer to the whole "we eat with our eyes." People have a tendency to look at the details before they look into the depth of what's going on. Unity is another bullet point. I think that the unity is just it's just a broad-based term that makes us think about how all the parts of the puzzle fit together. Does every single visual choice on the stage come together to bring you that sense of unity? Does it all work to elevate the design choices? Does it all push the design choices to the fore? Are we able to enjoy everything? If there's a random prop on the 5-yard line that's never been used the entire show, how does that fit into the sense of unity? So I think it's just a broad-based term that deals with how all the pieces and parts of the puzzle come together in a successful manner to elevate the design choices. I think it's important also that we understand as evaluators that the design choices can be a million different interpretations on things. It's not our place to make artistic choices for the ensembles. And I think we have to be open to anything. You may hear a Beethoven done in a classical manner. You may hear Beethoven approached in a very non-traditional manner. Both can work, both can be amazing. And as evaluators, we have to allow any artistic choices in any style to flourish. And I think that's important that we don't get bogged down in our own personal preferences when it comes to things. I kind of feel in the visual ensemble caption that one of the priorities is to get a good sense of how the ensemble is working together from an achievement standpoint. How successful are we in achieving our spacing, our line, our timing, our orientation? Do we have a consistent approach to that through time? When evaluating achievement, we have to always understand that it's directly related to the composition. Those two boxes never operate in isolation. The composition is the driving force behind the achievement. The training is the driving force behind the achievement as well. But we have to make sure there's a marriage there between those two, and we never lose sight that just because it's clean doesn't mean that it's going to score all the points. There has to have some depth and compositional value to what's happening there. Dynamic gradations and effort qualities are just, again, a fancy word for do we have a broad vocabulary? Do we have a lot of variety in what we're asking of the performers from a visual standpoint? Is everything the same tempo, or are there different tempos? Is the body always vertical? Does the body have to use different muscle groups to go into different positions, which is a gradation for the body? So I think that plays a little bit into the top box in some ways, but it reminds us that we're evaluating that in the achievement. Style and technique is a huge part of achievement. I say all the time that body language is probably one of the strongest driving forces behind the visual caption and achievement. How confident are the performers? How successful do they present their training? How successful are they through confidence projecting their style and their image and their character, or whatever the role may be? It's very important that the body language is extremely positive through time. Can never underestimate the value of training. Training will show up in everything you do. As adjudicators, training is pretty easily discernible very quickly. So I think it's important that if you're the person responsible for training, put the time in, because we as adjudicators are going to dive into that pretty quick. Strength and stamina, those are just things that you have to develop through time. From an adjudication standpoint, when we see the performance start to wane a little bit, the performers be a little bit less energetic, the body start to slump a little bit, everything kind of starts to go away, then we wonder if the training of the stamina training, just like doing cardio at the gym, we wonder if the stamina training is in place to make it work. And just like any visual or anything in life, if there's a mistake, how do they operate with recovery? The recovery is very, very, very important. So how do they manipulate that, and is it done in a professional manner as well? Just to wrap up here real quick, we need to understand in achievement that everything is one of two things. It's either timing or it's method. Either they did it at the wrong time, or they did it the wrong way, or they're in the wrong place. So everything is either method or timing. So just keep it simple, because it's basically what it is. I think the value of achievement in the visual arts is paramount. But we have to be aware that the artistic choices and design choices are directly related to the success of the achievement. It's important to remember that the marriage of the what and the how has to exist organically at all times. But if you focus on the training and have good design choices, it all will come to play usually pretty easily for the adjudication team. Good luck this season. We thank you for participating with us. Just your real quick, like remembering visual ensemble is the totality of all the things they see from the top. The individual, they're focusing on individuals and how they're trained and how they operate on the field. All right. Thank you so much. Good luck.